Hello everyone and welcome to another in review, this time looking at one of the most hotly anticipated films of the year, It Chapter 2. And anyone who listens to our weekly show, in case you missed it, will know that before the trailer for this film came out I was a little bit worried about it because the first one I really enjoy, and it's a lot easier to make a horror film with children scary than it is a horror film with adults, and I was worried about how they were going to deal with that and the pressure that this one would build. A lot of the people came back. Andy Muschietti returning to direct the chapter 2 of this story. This one obviously focusing on now it's 27 years later. The children find out that they haven't killed Pennywise, or the adults have now found out they didn't kill Pennywise. 27 years ago, they've all left. They've all kind of forgotten about it, apart from one person, and he gets the band back together. 27 years on, and they try and deal with that and try and stop Pennywise for good this time. And as far as the sequel goes, I think it's successful in that terms. The problem that I kind of have with the film is the story itself. I don't love the whole of the adult sort of side of it. Even in the mini-series, the TV film with Tim Curry from 1990, the adult stuff is a lot weaker, and it's kind of the same in this. They use a lot more of the children's, bringing in like the flashbacks from when they were children. I thought that was the strongest stuff in the film. The cast I thought were great and incredibly well cast in their respective roles. I think Jessica Chastain and Bill Hader were probably the strongest ones there. I think McAvoy doesn't do as much as I was expecting him to do, playing the lead character of Bill. I thought he was going to do more, but quite consistently across the board, I thought everyone was pretty strong. But again, it's just the nature of the story, and anyone who's read the book and seen the second part or knows the adult sort of side of it from the film and the book, I think it's difficult. It goes into such a weird place sometimes, and I think it could have, in some ways, might have benefited more from going for a weirder place, but then that kind of takes away some of the horror as much. I think I don't think it's bad by any sense of the word, but I think, like I say, it's just the nature of that story just doesn't work for me and doesn't click for me. Again, it's going back to the old stuff that really worked. The dynamic between the kids, you get to see a little bit more of that from the flashbacks, and that they really are the strongest stuff. So it just kind of makes the first it look in a way better, and it relies on you loving that film to kind of get that across. And then when it comes back to the adults, it's you're kind of left wishing that you'd want to see more of the children, really. And it makes you wonder how, I know it's in the book so that it comes back every 27 years, but what if it came back a year later or 2 years later? I think it'd be set up easier for a sequel and work better than this perhaps did. I was impressed by some of the CGI in there. I thought that there are times where because obviously those children grow up quickly, going through puberty, and they de-age some of them to look like they do in the first It, and at times it was a little bit noticeable for me, but across the board I thought that it was pretty solid. Then obviously they continue to do more CGI weirdness with Pennywise, and that fits the character. As far as going forward, I don't know. It's gonna make a lot of money opening weekend, so I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest, if we do see another continuation to this franchise. And what I'd like to see perhaps more is like the first time that the character of Pennywise actually becomes a clown. That's sort of, I think you could do a lot more going back and looking at some of the earlier stuff that Pennywise did, rather than trying to continue forward and go to the future. That's not at all what I'd want to see. it's such an interesting universe, such an interesting character in Pennywise, and Bill Skarsgård is great as always. I don't think he gets as much screen time in this, which is disappointing. But what he does, I think he still continues to do well. But it's less about him; it's more about the characters once again, and the cast is great, and they have solid chemistry. But as far as and now I'm coming to my rating of the film, I'd probably give it about a 2.5. Actually, no, I'll give it 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5, I think, is fair. I had a good time with it. I didn't not like it, but there were definitely aspects that I felt like could be stronger. It was a solid sequel, but again, it's the story that I don't particularly like from the source, and even some of that they're trying to change. And I don't know. I would have liked to have seen them go more, perhaps, into their own sort of direction with it rather than adapting the source that I personally don't like. But maybe that's for you. Go and check out in the cinemas right now and let me know what you thought in the comments down below. You can join us each Sunday for an episode of, in case you missed our weekly show where we talk trailers, box office and film headlines, and join us during the week for our midweek show, which is normally a special sort of show. And this week we have an In Dispute coming out if you follow along with that. And go and like us on Facebook for all the latest film news, and follow us on Twitter at Insider Network _ and Instagram at Insider Network. Follow me at Floodgate28, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.